In the spring of 2022, we bought a remote wilderness island, sight unseen, on a lake in British Columbia. We drove across the country to pick up an old barge, and now we're building a homestead.
Okay, this is ugly. This is kind of what we thought might happen. Oh no.
It isn't always easy, but the rewards outweigh the trials.
We're super excited! Woo! He's gonna turn the lights on for the first time.
And this is really living.
Coming up on this episode.
Out here on our island, we try not to waste effort. This stump planer turns rugged stumps into level ground for building, and it's fast. I'm going to take our total dissolved solids meter and see what the lake water is before it is actually run through our filter system. So let's check it out. This siding is called Smart Panel, and we picked it up from Home Depot. It's only a ½ inch thick, and it has a rabbeted edge which creates a continuous board and batten look when mated with another panel.
Brian's just heading over to the boat launch to go clean it up from when we first came in here. He's got diesel for pepper, rake, shovel, and pepper. So I think he's going to do a nice job. It's probably going to look better than it ever did.
Although I was pretty careful with pepper in terms of not chewing up the boat ramp, there were a couple of track marks that were left behind that I should probably go smooth out. We actually had planned on crossing over sooner, but the winds prevented us from making the trip safely. We want our footprint in the public spaces here to be invisible, so I'm heading over to make it all pretty. Before I head over, I've got to fuel up pepper. And I must say, this little transfer pump is really fast. It's way faster than the ones at the gas station. Every trip with Pepper starts with a little ritual, untying and retying the lines, and then loading Pepper onto the barge. He's heavy, but he's steady, and he does a bit of a wheelie each time he climbs up the ramps. But as we make our way aboard, I can't help but notice how rough the barge is looking these days. The paint is tired, and the entire deck is covered in surface rust. It's time we gave her a proper paint job. This barge has carried every load for every project, and she deserves a bit of care before another season of hard work. We're always running, you know, and it seems that we never have the time. But it needs to get done, so next season, we're going to make this a priority. I always engage the safety chains to hold the ramps up while underway, and I release the tension on the straps so they are not stressed when the waves cause the big heavy ramps to bounce. Pepper weighs approximately 10,000 pounds, and with him on board, the trip over to the boat ramp takes around 40 minutes. On a day like today when it's nice and sunny, this trip is quite relaxing really. It gives me time to think. Well, I'm back at the ramp. And I guess it's a little, yeah, it needs a little cleanup. So I'll tidy this up with the blade. This won't take long at all. And then I'll get headed back home so I can work on the cabin. I am floating the bucket over the ramp to smooth out any high spots. Floating the bucket uses the weight of the bucket and the lift arms only. There's no hydraulic power forcing the blade onto or into the ground while floating. Doing it this way will create a rough finish that will enable me to quickly rake out any remaining bumps and ridges. That looks way better. I'm happy with the result.
Ryan's just come back after cleaning up the boat launch. Oh, he's making this all nice too. Wow, does this ever look good? It's a nice area to keep some of our stuff. I think he's going to fix it up so that it's easier for him to get on and off. Looks like maybe that's what he's doing. So there's our tracker. He's got the diesel tank set up. And there's the base for the tracker there. These are the logs from the old house. There's a tree growing out of the generator. See that little cabin behind there? We're thinking of maybe putting a roof on it and using it for just storage. Oh, going out into the bright sunny day. Wow. Who's that little dog down there? There's like leaves or something in the bottom of it.
That's a cobweb. Just a cobweb. It's okay. Yeah, they're in there.
Here's my first visit of the season to the greenhouse. And it's not looking pretty. We left in a real hurry last year because Ryan had his accident. I'm fairly new to this stuff, you know. These were my potatoes. I don't know what ever happened to them, but there are things that just need to be dispensed with, and we're starting out fresh and new. So here we go.
Well, spring has definitely sprung, and with it comes all kinds of pollen. The lake is full of pollen. So let's go see how our water filtration system handles the pollen. Remember, I just took a little video of the lake showing all the pollen in it, and I grabbed this water from the bathroom, and it looks pretty clean. So let's see how many total dissolved solids are in it. This is not a reverse osmosis system which gets all the total dissolved solids out, but this should give us a clear indication that our water is safe to drink.
I'm excited to see how this turns out.
"40 parts per million. Green. Safe to drink." Isn't that awesome? So that takes that gross, yucky, pollen-infested water and makes it safe to drink. Isn't that cool?
That's pretty incredible. It looks super clear.
Doing it again. 40 parts per million.
That's amazing.
I'm going to go down to the lake now and test it there. And let's see what it is there. To be fair, I'm not going to stick it in the lake where you can see it's all milky. I'm going to reach beyond it. Honey, look at all those baby trout. See them?
Yeah,
Can you see them? So much life in this lake.
sure is.
Maybe I have to scoop it up and put it in a container and test it. I'm going to take our total dissolved solids meter and see what the lake water is before it is actually run through our filter system. So let's check it out. I don't know if you can read that, but it says there's 25 parts per million of dissolved solids in the lake. So that's interesting. You might be thinking, if there's only 25 parts per million in the lake, why is there 40 parts per million after it goes through our water filtration system? Well, the answer to that is because we are running it through a carbon block. This comes right from the lake into our pressure tank, and then when we have a call for water, it comes out of the pressure tank, and then it comes up through a 500 micron spin down filter, then through a 140 micron spin down filter, then it carries on down to 25 micron big blue filter, then finally over to our carbon block. And this carbon block is what causes the extra 15 parts per million to come into the water. From the carbon block, you might find this interesting, it carries on over and goes through our UV system, which kills any pathogens that might be in the water, like beaver fever and stuff like that. And then carries on down here, down and out. That's going off to the bathroom, to the kitchen sink, etc., etc.
Opal, look at me. Look at me. Gotta wipe your mouth.
She might be our wilderness dog, but even island explorers need a little cleanup now and then. Opal's been nose deep in the woods again, so it's time for a quick spa moment before the next round of Zoomies.
There you go. Good dog.
They say you're supposed to let sleeping dogs lie. So, I think I will.
This is going to be done very, very soon. He's working on the outside today. I'm always terrified when I'm in here and I see that and hear him working. But we've actually gotten a fair bit done today, so upward and onward.
The Bluetti is going to power my saws and my phone, and I'm going to use it as a sole source of power for the work that I'm doing today as I work on the trim and the siding of the cabin. Here's our wood supply. So for the front of the cabin, we're going to use these pieces here for trim. This is called comb face. And then for the actual siding, we're going to use that prefab siding down there. See how that looks. I'll be cutting the siding to fit around the windows and doors, and doing so on the deck is much easier for me than wrestling with them on wobbly sawhorses. I've set up a couple of sawhorses here to handle the wood that I'm staging. And then I have a 6x6 clamped to one of the sawhorses to function as a rest for these 16-foot trim pieces that I'm cutting down to size. And of course I've got all this trim to do, but right now I'm going to focus on the lower half of the front of the cabin, so I'm going to start with the trim for the lower windows and the door and get that done. With the materials and tools just steps away from the work area, the task of fitting the window and door trim goes pretty quickly. I'm off to get more trim from our stockpile behind the array shed. And one thing I can say about living off the grid, you sure get lots of exercise. I'm hoping the fresh air and continuous activity will add years to our lives. I am adding a little trim detail for the exterior outlets. They will also be painted black like the other trim pieces around the windows and door, and should pop nicely once everything is all put together. Here Melody and I are doing a quick vision check to make sure that we like where we are heading with the exterior motif. With that settled, I continue fashioning the trim pieces for those exterior outlets. This test piece worked well, so I'm using it as a template for the outlet on the other side of the deck. This little handy oscillating cutter is a great tool to do precision cuts like this. Sure, I could use a jigsaw, but I like the fine control of this cutter, and a jigsaw would cause the whole thing to bounce. I have more control with this little cutter. Perfect! 2 identical trim pieces. Now I just need to drill some through holes so that the outlets can connect to the electrical box that is set back into the exterior wall. The additional thickness of these trim pieces will require longer bolts than those that normally come with the outlets. Try to envision all these trim pieces painted black with a nice gray color for the siding. It should all tie in nicely with the sheds we have close by. The bolts I have are just long enough to reach through this face trim and back to the electrical box. For safety purposes, you want that mechanical connection between the outlet and the box to hold everything together and to preserve continuity of ground. Although in Canada, we are also required to pigtail the outlet itself to the box.
Just working on this one over here.
As far as I'm concerned, in the event of a short circuit, the more paths for electricity to find ground, the better.
I've already prepped it. So it's a bit of fiddling to do. Each one of these things takes about a half hour.
As it turns out, my box of longer outlet bolts was actually full of the shorter outlet bolts that I had already replaced. So I will have to temporarily connect this outlet to the trim until our next supply run. The trouble is, the holes are now too big for the screws to bite, and since I don't have any large bore screws on hand, I'll have to make smaller holes. So how do you make smaller holes? A quick way to MacGyver a hole smaller is to fill it with wood, then drive the screw through the filled hole. It works like a charm and holds fast. It's kind of like adding a helicoil to a stripped engine block when mounting a cylinder head. A little glue holds those wood shards that are forced into the hole, and I've found that using a couple of thin shards is better than gluing in a complete dowel. You don't have to wait for the glue to dry either. You can use it right away. And the screw now fits tightly. It is now time to measure twice and cut once, if you know what I mean. I'm measuring where the window is in relation to the end of the building and the deck, and I will transfer those points onto the panel and then draw some cut lines. This is fiddly stuff and it cannot be rushed. Mistakes here would be quite costly. This siding is called Smart Panel and we picked it up from Home Depot. It's only a ½ inch thick and it has a rabbeted edge which creates a continuous board and batten look when mated with another panel. I have to be careful not to saw the top of the decking, so to avoid that, I'm blocking the panel up to give me more clearance. As I cut out for the window on this first panel, I noticed that I'm getting excited. This is instant gratification type stuff, as each panel covers a large area of the exterior and brings us ever closer to completion.
Okay, the last piece I have to cut.
Cutting holes so the siding can fit around the outlets is time consuming, and it really can't be rushed. Otherwise, the blade can skip and potentially mar the finish. With that done, I'm now ready to hang the siding.
This doesn't have to be perfect because it's covered by that wood there. But even so, it's pretty good.
But before I do that, I first have to remove and mark each trim piece so I know which ones go where.
One right.
So I thought the grapes were completely dead, but they do have some buds on them. They just look so dead and off season. Here's another one. Here's another one. And they're in the ground this year, so they have a way, way better chance. They're in our orchard. And my raspberries are already started. The raspberries coming up quite nicely, actually. My blueberries are looking quite good. So there's part of my orchard. Now let's go check out the trees. What do you think of the new trees, Opal? You like the new apple trees? Let's go see them. Okay. Well, these are actually looking good. We're getting the water up here. They're all getting buds. Wow. Now, am I seeing some of the buds start to be eaten already? Okay. I have special bags that I'm going to cover these trees with.
Ready to go.
I'd love to come up and see these, but there is definitely something making a nest in these trees, which I don't really like. But look at these. And those were all planted last fall. So we've got to get those watered right away.
I just have to see how strong this is. If it's strong, maybe you can hold it. Oh yeah, it'll be all right.
Oh my goodness. Right, and you took into consideration the trim, eh?
Yeah.
With the first panel of siding up, I can see I'm going to be pretty happy with the result. For the trim around the door though, we have a bit of a different situation. The coned face sits directly on top of the door jamb, which is on the same plane as the exterior sheathing. This means that the siding cannot be placed under the door trim like it is around the windows. Instead, I'll have to rabbet the door trim and then tuck the edge of the siding underneath it. The end result will be a clean, finished look. As I fiddle with the deck light, Melody does her best to keep the area free from biting insects. It is early spring and we are thankful for our mosquito magnet because without it, we would be surrounded by clouds of flies, no-see-ums, and mosquitoes. Out here on our island, we try not to waste effort. This stump planer turns rugged stumps into level ground for building, and it's fast. Guess what? There's leaves on your grapes. And there's leaves on this grape. And there's leaves on this grape. And buds on that grape. Oh no, yeah, I cleared this.
The flies are a little bit wild tonight, so the mosquito magnet wasn't on earlier today, and boy, can you ever tell. So I've had to put on this little veil that I've not worn in a long time. Did you just hear that sound?
No, I missed it.
Listen. A lovely whistle.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, honey. This is incredible. This is nice what you've done in here. This took you hours to do today.
Well, there was a lot here. There's
I know.
great big tree roots. Massive. Actually, it was that.
Wow. Oh my goodness, that's what you took out of there.
Yeah. That was all in the ground. And then I moved some logs that were sitting there. Those logs were over there, and then there was the big stumps, and then there was just a bunch of bush and forest and stuff.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Huh.
Let's go back here to the orchard. So I can push this orchard back to the base of that hill,
Yeah.
clear all that out, and then we can go that way past that falling log, right?
Yeah.
And then like to those trees, and probably take out a couple more of those trees. And we can also push it this way to
Well,
that fallen log.
We want to have a way to get around everything with the vehicle, right? If we need to.
Yeah. I think so. Remember when that huge tree fell? It just snapped. Remember that huge tree?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, there's a fair amount of work to do still.
Oh, this tree's looking good.
Yeah.
Which one is this? I don't know.
I'll dig up the card.
It's
It's Brook
The
Gold
plum. This is a Brook Gold plum here. Okay. And then this will be a different kind of plum here. And this got hurt too. Yeah, we got to get rid of those. Okay. Yeah. And then
This is going to be in full bloom any day now.
this one definitely got hurt somehow. Shoot, eh?
Yeah,
Well-
it still might come.
It still may.
It looks like there's just late bloomer buds on it.
It does actually, because that still looks red.
Right? Late bloomer buds there. This one looks...
And here, these might come. Oh,
those
see,
ones look dead.
see, there's a lot of webs.
I took some off yesterday.
I can feel them. Look
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Just have to keep coming up and
Yeah, we
cleaning
do.
the webs off.
We don't want the spider mites to get anything.
And then that tree looks awesome.
Oh, this tree is the winner right now for sure. And I think there may be flowers on it at some point. Okay, but you know what? I don't think anything's been touching its bark.
No. Look at Opal. Somehow she still has energy to burn. Racing around the new clearing while we pack up for the day.
She gone.
We've made good progress on the cabin. And once that siding's done, we'll finally be able to move on to the next big project. And that's building a safe, permanent battery storage bunker. It'll mean no more hauling our batteries off the island each winter.
She's huffing and puffing, eh?
Yeah. And we'll be a step closer to making this homestead truly self-reliant. There's always another challenge ahead, but for now, it feels good just to pause and take it all in. Don't leave just yet. There's plenty more island life ahead. You might want to watch this episode when Pepper joined our island family.
And binge watch your way through our My Wild Home playlist because every season's packed with new projects, challenges, and the laughs that come with off-grid life.